Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we that you all could be with us today. Going to bring in our friends over on ID to be a part of our chat. Excited about this next segment. Our next guest is celebrating her new novel. We're going to talk to her about that, but also what it's been like for her to be to share it with all of you and what she'll be able to take away from it as well. We're now live on the Amazon Live platform, which Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on Amazon, welcome. Make sure you guys hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. Penda L. James is Jean Dandelions. We're going to talk to Penda not only about her new book, but what's been like for her to share it with the world and what she hopes you're able to take away from it as well. Penda, welcome back to the broadcast. Glad to speak with you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Cyrus. Glad to be here. Hey, everybody out there.
So, Penda, this is exciting. So I should let our audience know, Penda and I actually met in person last year about this time. In North Carolina, my visit to meet Penda. So, Penda, you are so used to promoting other people. How does it feel now to have your novel out and to see people supporting you?
I felt really, really anxious at first. And that level of anxiety I've never felt before, but I've experienced it with my clients. Like, oh, what are people going to say? Do you like it? Oh my gosh. What do you think? So I feel all of that emotion, but I also feel very excited. Very, very excited about this process because I know the story is meaningful, and I feel like I went through the storm and the rain to get it out into the world, and now I can enjoy what she's doing.
Yeah, love that. And I should say to our audience, and we'll get more into this, Penda. It's so interesting in reading the book. Now, I had gotten the Kindle edition. You sent me the paperback. Both of them are available here for our friends over on Amazon, so you guys can see. You guys can get the Kindle edition. Start reading it right now for only $6.99. You can take advantage of that or get the paperback here. But Penda, what I thought was so interesting, I didn't expect until I started reading it, is how there's so many layers to this story. It's generational, for one thing, but it also shows how, each one of us does have a purpose. Purpose is a very big part of this book. I'm curious for yourself, what has it been like for you to embrace your own purpose as a storyteller?
That is a great question. This process has healed me in ways that I didn't recognize. I was bruised. My mother is deceased, and so part of the reason why I wanted to write a story to honor motherhood was because I wanted to honor her. And I have so many questions for her that I couldn't ask because she's deceased. And it has helped me to, as I've been writing this story, now I know how I have the language to give the writers that I work with their tools. Writing a novel is a different experience. This is my 8th book, but writing a novel, you really have to feel what you're writing because you want other people to walk in the world of the characters. And one day I was talking to my sister and her partner, and they were laughing, going back and forth, like, yeah, and Annabelle did this, and Joyce, and I'm like, who are y'all talking about? They're like, girl, we talking about your book. And that's what I wanted, was for people to feel like these characters are real, because I want you to be able to relate to them.
That I thought about different scenes, because that's kind of how I when I'm reading Penda, how I kind of see things as scenes. There's so many things, of course, you talked about questions that you had. There are questions that we find even in the book with Anita. Trying to figure things out and not understanding sometimes what is happening. Like one of the great conversations you have in the book, Penda, is the conversation, about blood pressure.
Yes.
And then, of course, and we won't go into the details of that, but then, of course, one of the pivotal characters having a stroke, and experiencing that. And what was that like for you to kind of weave in the story but also the uncertainty that all of us can understand when it comes to life and what happens
There
in
is a
life.
part in this story, so this is not really a spoiler, but there is a part in this story where Nitty, her name is Anita, has headache. All three of the characters experience headaches, and as I was writing this story, I felt them all.
Mm,
I have hypertension, and I don't necessarily get headaches because if I do, then I know my blood pressure is
got
up
it.
too high. When there was a particular day when I was younger where I took everything off of the shelves in my office and lay down on the floor because I had a headache so bad, and that's what the character experienced, but not understanding that this is unspoken anger. This is information that you're trying to process, and like I said earlier, not having the words to communicate what you're feeling. So putting some of that truth in there, like I said, honoring my mom and my aunt both had a stroke aneurysm on the same day, a year apart from each other. So to be able to have conversations with my sister and my cousins and, all the women in my family, hypertension is a real thread in the family. That's why it's important for me to raise awareness about conversations, because I think sometimes when we hold things inside, it causes some of these unspoken diseases, and then it just goes so far. So I really wanted to delve into that, to talk about when we don't deal with the anger we have towards our moms or the frustration we have with our sisters, that sometimes it really can cause these other things to happen.
Love that. Hello to you, Street Queen. Good to be to see you over there on Facebook. She says, great interview. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Want to give some shout outs over on IG as well. Hello to you, Nahid, joining us from California. Good to be to see you, Nahid. Ken, hello to you, Ken 51717. Glad you could join us as well. If you guys are coming in late, don't worry. The replay will be available on all the platforms you guys are watching us on as we're talking with Penda about the new book. The title itself is even can be taken literally or metaphorically, for sure, Penda. And I've seen that now as I'm reading it, running between dandelions, because I think a lot of the times when we think about dandelions, one thing, of course, we think about is the beauty, but also they're fleeting. Life is one of those things, and you got to see life as it's happening in the book. You're really just trying to navigate life as it comes to you. What was that like for you to play with the literal aspect of the title, but also the figurative aspect when it comes to the characters' lives that you've created?
That is an excellent question. Dandelions have always been a thread for me, probably since I was about 32. My father told me one day, "Pen, don't be a tulip." And what he meant by that was tulips are beautiful for 2 weeks and then they die. So dandelions dig their roots in deep and they're hard to kill. And so that's something that I have adopted and try to teach the people that I work with. So when I thought about a title, I thought about the importance of us finding the safe spaces. So when I'm running in between dandelions, when I get to that next safe space, I can rest. Literally, while I was writing this book, I went for a walk and it was really hot outside, and I there was no shade in sight anywhere. I just remember talking to my daughter who's away in college, like, I can't make it. I don't know what I'm like. She's like, Mom, keep going, keep going. And that's where I got run to the safe spaces. Having people in your ear who can remind you that you do have a purpose. Having people to remind you, like, I'm so close. Don't give up yet. You're right here, baby. Don't quit. So when I think about those characters, the pain that Annabelle was in that she couldn't verbalize because she had to be strong, then she took it out on Joyce, who didn't, she was afraid to be a mother. And then when she had Anita, the grandma says, we're going to name her Nitty because Anita, Nitty, because she's going to knit this family together in love. Yeah. I think about the strong titles that I love, The Color Purple. I know why the cage bird sings. Like, they're metaphorical, but also literal.
Of seeing a baby that has purpose and promise, and also I felt like, and because we haven't mentioned this, the book is written in first person, so we feel like we're kind of in the skins of these characters, did that make it easier for you, Penda, or was that making it even more challenging to kind of put yourself to sit in what the character was feeling and going through?
It made it challenging because, like I said, Cyrus, I experienced headaches from all three of the women. So an example would be when Annabelle has a headache, she rubs her head like this.
Mhm.
You know, when Joyce has a headache, she feels like she's in a cloud. Nitty feels like there's a crown on her head and somebody's taking a key and locking it, tightening it behind her. I experienced all of those while I was writing about them. And I started writing Nitty's story first, but one particular day I put on a poncho that my mom had made, and when I put it on, I heard somebody singing Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace is a family song, but the way that I heard it sung in a deep, soulful voice with hope, that became the thread for all three of the women. So even I have a playlist where I play different versions of Amazing Grace from different generations because we all experience grace differently.
Yeah.
And as I hear people talk about, oh, it's written in first person, this is so great. I didn't think about it like that. I just thought about I needed you to hear Annabelle's voice. I needed you to hear Joyce and hear Anita. And I didn't think about that until later, that it being written in first person in three parts. So it's one book told in three voices.
Yeah. And that's another point I want to talk about. Cyrus represents. I'm excited to welcome Penda L. James to our broadcast today. Penda's the author of the new book you guys can see here that's available here on Amazon, Running Between Dandelions. You guys can get it in print or the Kindle edition. I want to also remind you how you can stay connected with Penda as well and all the great things that she's doing, including with her clients too. Penda, that goes to another point I want to talk to you about because as you talk about the generations, the other thing that we're able to see, and when I thought about when I read that scene about Anita having purpose, her purpose being to bring people together, it also shows sometimes the. It's so interesting you mentioned crown earlier because I thought about the weight that some of us feel of trying to be, better than the generation before, or to I'm saying to not make them and her talking about Anita's birth about not getting it right. I'm saying? Feeling like even from the beginning, not getting it right. What was that like for you to kind of explore with these women about the pressure they feel, not only in society, in their own lives, but also the impact of the generations that they can have?
This is a phenomenal question because I sit in the seat as a mother, as a granddaughter. I don't have grandchildren yet, and my mother is gone. So trying to bridge this gap of I'm now the matriarch. My siblings and I, we don't have a matriarch. It's me, and trying to make sure that I right the wrongs that I made with my daughter. She's only 18, but some of the things that I didn't want to do that I did that might have hurt her feelings or things like that. So trying to balance as a mom, walking what Joyce felt like. Like I want to do this right. I really want to be a good mom, but I still have some things that I haven't dealt with that I didn't understand about my own mom. And so that's that process. And I think having these will unfold conversations outside of me. Everything I do, I want to invite conversation. That's important for me. I don't just do willy-nilly books and projects with people. I do things that are meaningful, and these conversations are important. I've heard so many stories since I started writing this book about people who don't get along with their moms, or they have regrets with their moms because their moms are gone. I had a good relationship with my mom, but I do regret that I didn't have the opportunity to sit with her and ask her questions. Go deeper. How did you overcome this? She lost a child. What was that grief process like? I just regret I thought I knew it all, and so I wanted to be able to investigate some of that in in this writing? That is such an excellent question. I got my kazoo here. That was
I appreciate that. So, our mutual friend Tina Siemens, who you met there in Fayetteville,
yeah,
as well. She is all about, because I think this is where the real world aspect and impact of this book comes in, Penda, because it makes us now, as you were just reflecting on conversations you wish that you had. Is that something you hope readers take away? That, you know what, I need to ask questions. I need to ask my mom and dad about this. I need to get their thoughts. Realizing the importance of not only having that history, but also to kind of understand better how to navigate situations in life.
absolutely. Even the questions at the back of the book are thought out. Like, what does it mean to give your mom grace?
Mhm.
You know, I really want mothers and daughters, and there's the whole relationship between Nitty and Sandy, which is her best friend. Know that those relationships fortify and sustain us, and the only way that we stay connected really is if we ask questions. If I don't know anything about you, how am I connected to you?
Yeah. It's such a great point, and that's why I think there's another aspect of this too, Penda, that I took away as a reader, as a male reader in particular, because I mentioned that scene about the birth of Anita, right? And the whole idea of even the dad, not being left out of the situation, as far as the umbilical cord, you know, uh, you know, I want to talk about the aspect of not only generational trauma that can happen, right? But also the idea of relationships in general, because I think that's another part of this book too, is showing us the importance of, even though there may be a mother, daughter, granddaughter aspect of this, it really is about seeing each person as an individual. And talk to us about how important that's been for you to make sure we're seeing for who you are and what you bring to the table.
I'm about to pull out my kazoo again. That is a good question. This year, Cyrus, is the year that I decided I wanted to pursue some of the dreams for Penda. And I've been, my husband is a pastor in the ministry. I think thinking about the things that make Penda Penda has helped me to really pour more into this book, because I had to be in the bubble, and it wasn't like, is this something that I really want to do, finish this book? When there were times that I didn't think I was going to finish, I challenged myself to start it in January, and my goal was to be done in 12 weeks. It took me about 16. So writing all night, writing for hours at a time, not knowing if I was going to meet the deadline to do it. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm glad that I poured that water on Penda. And now the pouring of the water that I did on me is now what I'm able to give to everybody who's going to read the book. I think that me investigating this part of me, these stories, these women, it's not necessarily based on women in my life. To the foundation of them, but these women came from my imagination, and they have an important story to tell. And individually, they all have their own story, but without each other, they're not each other. And that's what I think we're missing. That's the piece of the puzzle that I want running between Dana. If you have a challenging relationship with your mom, without her, you're not you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you brought up something else that's really big there. I think a lot of us sometimes lose identity because of circumstances. Those who are caregivers kind of left behind. You mentioned, of course, being a wife. Also being a mother. How those can kind of sometimes be the more consuming thing. So knowing what Penda L. James wants, sometimes not always out front. So it's great that you've been able to this year Penda to be able to share this, and I'm so excited that we get a chance to talk about it as we're wrapping up this year. Again, everyone, the book is Running Between Dandelions. It's available here on Amazon, again, in print or in Kindle edition. Penda, congratulations to you. So glad we were an issue of our magazine that'll be coming out in January, so you guys can look out for that. But Penda, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Well, you can find me at pendaLjames.com, which is my website. Please purchase the book on Amazon.com. And I would love it if you not just purchase it, but leave a review for me on Goodreads or Amazon. That helps other readers to know that somebody else out there in the reading land loves this book. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Penscribed and Penda L. James on Facebook. So I'm out there. Just Google me. You can find me.
Her as well. Penda, congratulations again. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you.
We thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.